Vince.
Hello.
Thank you very much for coming to the
Pleasure.
picnic in the park.
Isn't it lovely?
It's nice, yeah.
Cold.
Little chilly.
Anyway, never mind.
You've wrapped up warm.
Yeah, I have.
And help yourself to a biscuit now or at the end.
I might have one as a treat if I do well.
Yeah, okay.
You let me know if I deserve one.
I will. So how is it all going at the Fringe? Because are we kind of approaching midpoint now, or is it...
Are we? It's a bit early for midpoint, isn't
maybe
it?
not.
We've been on 10 days,
Okay.
15 days to go.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
I think so.
So just another 30 shows.
Well, because how many are you...
2 a day.
So you're doing 2 a day, because you have Ian de Montfort,
Which was my main show.
which you, probably most people know you for, would you say?
Oh,
Or-
I don't know, up here maybe more people know Ivan Brackenbury maybe. Do you know what, I think it would be evenly spaced or mixed. Because of the Radio 2 show, I guess, mind you, Ivan was on Jason Byrne's show on Radio 2 every week, so I don't know.
They're quite equal in that sense, aren't they? Some
Yeah,
people
I
are
think so.
very... Yeah.
I think they're equal in so much as most people haven't heard of either.
Do you think so? I mean, I
Yeah,
think
yeah. I mean, outside the comedy world and the Fringe bubble, yeah.
But like you say, they've been on the, you've done radio with them as well, and then maybe...
Yeah, and I didn't say that everyone's not heard of them. I just said most people haven't heard of them.
But it's mostly a Fringe act, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a festival act as well. Just does well over in Australia.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Is there? So, which ones do you do first? It's you warm up with the...
Well, I do my 6:40 show at Ian de Montfort, and then at 9 o'clock I go over and do 20 minutes of adequate generic stand-up as me,
Oh, I see. Right.
and then Ivan Brackenbury. Ivan Brackenbury's the bait to get me an audience so I can try some stand-up out.
Right. So you do the stand up first, or
Yeah, get out of the way. It's painful. Just because I'm not very good at it. I've only done it. What are we, day 10 of the Fringe? I've done it 10 times since 1998.
So you did it for a while and then you stopped to concentrate on the character.
No, I
act.
did it for a while and stopped to do breakfast radio and breakfast TV, and then I went off sailing and living on a beach, and then came back 8 years later to do Ivan Brackenbury. Still done the odd gig here and there, but this particular act and this particular routine and this sort of new character I'm doing, which is an inadequate, mediocre stand-up, I've never really done before, because even when I was doing stand-up it was not what I'm doing.
Okay.
And it's just horrible.
It's the
really
worst part of the day, is it? Or
It's the most exciting part of the day, going into it. I'm like, yeah, tonight I'm going to crack it, I've tweaked it, this is going to work, and then I do it and I go, right, it's harder than it looks.
and you do the same thing every day, and
Yeah, more or less. Well, I started off with about half an hour and I'm down to about 7 minutes. So basically I do it every day, then I cut more and more and more. I'm going to end up with 4 lines by the end of the Fringe.
So why did you decide to do that this year? It just felt right. You wanted to give yourself a challenge.
I needed to do something else. And also I'm finding it difficult to get a profile with the characters, because with TV it's kind of shit or bust with characters. You either get your own series, you might be lucky, like with the odd slot, like on Shooting Stars, the odd character finds a little place. And if you're sort of under 30, there's Live at the Electric. But we're stand-up, there's so many opportunities to just slot into existing shows. So I thought it's a purely cynical move. Rather than get upset by the fact that I get massively overlooked for things like the road show and the panel games, I thought I'm going to stick to my principles. I'm not going to pander to them. I'm going to just do another character, even though it's not wanted, except the character is an adequate generic stand-up comic. And I'm going to pretend it's me. I've even called it Tom Binns, so people think it's actually me. And it's just to trick the people at Mock the Week. And so I said the other day, but why are you doing that? Because the Fringe is, full of adequate generic stand-ups. I went, yeah, but so's TV. So, and then I'm just doing it for my boys, really, Ian and Ivan. I'm happy to stand on stage and humiliate myself with some rubbish. And then hopefully, if people come and see that, I'll do another bait and switch. But instead of them, well, they'll come and see a bit of stand-up, and I'll finish with Ian or Ivan.
So it's not something that you really love doing, being yourself.
I don't even enjoy watching it. I mean, other people. I don't even enjoy watching good stand-up.
Really?
No, I can't stand it. It's so dull.
It's just because it's all the same, or
it's not very inventive, and I don't mean the people doing it. I mean, it's so restricting, isn't it? A bloke, or sometimes a woman, just telling you about things they've thought. Or wacky. Or what you get a lot of the Fringe is these acts that are only popular at Fringes because what's popular at Fringe is often dictated by reviewers and judges who have seen too much stand-up comedy. So you get all these kind of anti-comedians doing better than they should, in terms of better than they do in the real world, because their joke is essentially, this is not how you're supposed to behave as a comic, and everyone goes, I know, we've seen too much comedy, this is brilliant. And it isn't, really. It's not.
So you don't have...
It's just wrong.
So do you think they don't have a place at all?
I don't think that the amount of success they get is
proportionate
to what it is they're doing. I think that I do believe that the success at a Fringe is dictated by, a lot of the apparent success is dictated by judges and reviewers, because they inform the audience, and then the audience kind of follow what they mean, So when they see somebody who's just kind of standing on stage deliberately not being a comic, they love it, they lap it up. And I speak as someone who has had that act at the Fringe, albeit about 18 years ago. I did a thing called Some Kind of Comedian, where I just ripped the piss out of comedians, and it had an enormous amount of success. But then I had to go away and say, all right, I can just deconstruct it. Now I've actually got to do it, which is much harder. It's very easy to stand there and go, this is how you shouldn't be a comic.
It's sort of a safe haven in Edinburgh where you can do those sorts of things, but doesn't have an applicability elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's only safe because a lot of your audience have seen too much comedy, so they start looking for something different all the time.
So even the same crowd outside of Edinburgh might not enjoy that sort of thing.
Well, real people haven't seen too much. Normal people don't see too much comedy. They maybe go once or twice a year, and so they're perfectly happy with good, solid bread and butter comedy. Stuff that makes you laugh, rather than stuff that makes you go, finally, a breath of fresh air. Regular people don't need comedians to be a breath of fresh air, because actually, for them, going to see a comedian is a breath of fresh air. They're very active going out and watching a comic on stage. It's only the comedy geeks that go week in, week out need something that's crazy.
Do you consider yourself part of the magic world at all?
No, not really. Having said that, I've been made to feel very welcome in the magic world. I don't particularly see myself as part of the comedy world either, though, because I'm not one of those comedians. Even now that I'm doing straightforward stand-up comedy, I do call it my adequate generic comedy act. So I'm very disrespectful of the arts.
So they haven't welcomed you with open arms, I guess.
Comedians have, yeah, but yeah. I don't feel I'm not really a stand-up comic. No, I'll get on with everybody, but except one guy. But because I do characters, I don't necessarily. I'm a bit of the novelty when I turn up. But like I said, I've been doing this stand-up act for 10 days. It's bloody hard. I mean, it's obviously hard to get it good in 10 days, but it's also without any gimmicks, just being funny purely on your material is a challenge, a new challenge for me. I made it out that I've done it purely for cynical marketing reasons. I did need something. I'm not bored of Ian and Ivan, but they're kind of done now.
Okay.
And I can carry on doing them, but they're complete in terms of my creativity.
Was there any consideration to do another character like that? Even I'm going to contradict myself for the third time. Yeah, I could have done another character like that, but also I would have hit this brick wall, which is that, it's shit or bust. You either get a series doing characters, you don't end up. And I've just been through a long, drawn-out and tedious development process with a major broadcaster, and for 3 years we've been making pilot after pilot, and they've been really good. And it's come down to the fact that your profile on TV just isn't there. And whereas there's other people that do a little bit here and a little bit there, the odd spot on this show and the odd spot on that show, because they're stand-ups. Yeah.
So they built up their TV profile, so they get the series instead.
So I could have thrown my heart and soul into another character, but I feel like I'll be back here again in another 3 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone down the cynical route.
So broadcast is the aim?
No, it's not actually. Playing to more people in theatres is the aim, and broadcast was the means.
Okay.
So it's a funny old. It's more complicated than that. I only want to do television not for its own sake, but just because
exposure.
Yeah, I'll go to some art centre and I might get 60 people in. I could do with maybe 120.
Yeah. No, I see.
So it's just a bit more exposure, really. But I'm not slotting into the promotional slots. The odd stand up here and there. It may be that this stand up act I'm doing just won't be ever good enough anyway. It's looking that way.
It's worth a go at least. Yeah. So your 2 shows that you have are, just run me past them again.
So Ian de Montfort, Psychic Fair,
and that's at
with a Y, and that's 6:40, and that's the psychic who is no longer a spirit medium. He's a psychic now.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to be seen from profiting from people's grief, because that would make him no better than a florist. And so he doesn't talk. He occasionally talks to dead people because they still come through. Because as he says, the odds of the dead coming through are pretty good, because there's 107 billion different dead people. There's a very good chance there's one going to pop through every hour at least. But he's mainly tarot and astrology and more of a psychic reader, which is actually more fun from a comics point of view.
Yeah.
Because whereas a spirit medium will tell you about the colour of your curtains and your kitchen cabinets, a psychic reader tells you about your personality and your future. And if you're slagging someone off, or not it's all it is, isn't it? It's veiled slagging the audience off. Your insults cut much deeper if you're talking about their personality rather than the type of car they drive.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a lot more fun. So he says, like, some of your sexual needs are quite niche, whereas a spirit medium wouldn't necessarily know that, but a psychic would.
I see. So slight change there.
Yeah. So I'm pleased actually, and I also, it's a bit macabre talking about dead people all the time. And when we started doing it with real celebrities on the Radio 2 show, it felt a bit wrong, because he only contacted dead celebrities. I had a little bit of protection from actually contacting anyone new in the audience, and for it to get really ugly. But once you move into the world of celebrities for real, you've no longer got that protection.
Yeah. So
I remember doing a reading for quite a famous person, and I asked them to think of a famous dead celebrity, and they thought of a very good friend of theirs that had died, and they believed in my gifts, and so I ended up to my neck in a bucket full of shit.
Because that's exactly what you're trying to sort of. You're the opposite of that.
Yeah, well,
really.
I was in front of a live audience, and I had the choice of making this well-respected entertainer look like a twat, or look like a twat in front of the audience by playing on. I could either say, "No, you're an idiot. There's no such thing as this," and that would have been awkward because it was his show, or I could just play along. It was horrible.
And what did you do?
I kind of kept going in and out of character, sort of explaining as Tom what Ian was doing, and then so Ian was doing it, and Tom kept saying, "This is what a psychic would do." It's very confusing, didn't really work.
It's sort of a double-sided.
Yeah, and it still went over the head of the host. So I'm quite glad that I'm no longer talking to dead people. The odd one comes through, and there's a lot of comedy talking to dead celebrities, but once you start talking to real celebrities as well, doesn't that little safety net, the ring fencing that it provided for me, you know what I mean? That goes then. You're back at square one. So so turn my back on the world of spirits.
So your show with Ian, and where is that? Just
that's the cabaret bar.
Cabaret bar.
Sorry, were you wrapping up? And I went off on a massive
That's quite
tangent.
all right.
Sorry about that. I didn't realise. I should have spotted the social signs. Sorry, 6:40 cabaret bar. Then at 9 o'clock, I'm doing Ian de Montfort and some adequate generic stand-up at 9 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you definitely can have a biscuit.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I deserve one now.
You do, absolutely.
I didn't realise you were wrapping up, and then I started going off on one.
No, it was a great tangent.
Right. Okay.
It was.
Thank you. I'm gonna have one of these. I think technically these are cakes.
Maybe.
Well, if they go, you leave them in the cupboard and they go hard, cake. Leave them in the cupboard and they go soft, biscuits.
That's the rule.
Yep.
That's the rule. And it is in the name, to be fair, Jaffa Cake.
Yeah, there is that as well.